Good morning. It is almost 8:30 on a Monday. We are starting school just a little bit late today. We usually start by around 8 o'clock. But we're getting a little bit of a late start today, mostly because I slept in until 7:45.
Should have slept in until 9:20 because you interrupted our mischief.
Okay, so anyway, we're getting started with some group work today. We are starting a new read aloud, so we are going to start with this, and it is called Susie B. Won't Back Down. Are you guys ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Dear Susan B. Anthony, I have very bad news for you. You're dead. Really dead. Like over 100 years dead. Like right now you are dust and bones in the cemetery of your old hometown, Rochester, New York. Sorry. You're probably thinking, what the heck? If I'm dead, why are you writing? Okay, we finished, we just read one chapter today just to get started in here. So we finished that, and we are going to move on to their ADHD workbooks. So they're both in different sections in these books. We just work on them at the same time. So there's yours, and there's yours. All right, so we were working on some spelling. We were going over some of the sound sheets, and then we were working on a page in the syllabication section, and that's all we're gonna do in our spelling today. So they're just finishing up each a page in their workbook in the syllabication section. And then we're going to move on to our election. Our group work is taking a little bit longer. This morning for some reason, we just took a little bit longer on spelling than probably we normally would take, but we're still kind of figuring out how to use that program, so it's taking us a little bit longer to get through. So they're gonna finish up that syllabication page, and then we're gonna move on and read our page in here. I had scheduled just reading a page in this book today, and then we were going to start this tomorrow, but because my husband's home today and I feel like this is something I'd like his help with, we may actually go ahead and start this today, which is going to extend our group work, but I think it'll be okay. Okay, apparently before we move on, it's time for a snack break, even though it's only 9 o'clock. All right, so they're getting a snack out of their locker, and then we're gonna read our page in here.
Oh, that's also what you're wearing, Abel.
What did you pick?
These.
Okay.
Yeah, those are the best.
Okay. All right. All right, you can open to page 61.
Oh, that's actually the page I turned to when I opened the book.
Perfect. All right, so we're going to read about presidential debates. Once the party conventions are over, the presidential and vice presidential debates are scheduled. Usually the VPs from both parties have one debate, but it doesn't have too much impact on the election. In 1960, John F. Kennedy and Richard Nixon were in the first televised presidential debates in history, and one of the most famous. The election was very close, and many scholars believe that JFK gained a big edge over Nixon during the debate because he looked younger and more vibrant than Nixon, who was sweating and recovering from an injury. And what's funny is that he looked younger, but he was only, I think, a couple years younger. Hey, babe, how old was JFK versus Nixon in the 1960 debate? Oh, he has his headphones on. Okay. Well, anyway, we'll look up their ages, but they weren't actually that far apart in age, but JFK looked a lot younger, so. All right, let's wait for Dad to finish eating his breakfast, and then we're gonna get started. Yep. So we are taking a look. My husband has a bunch of campaign buttons on display here. He brought these out for us to have up during our election studies, and specifically because we're going to be talking about Kennedy the next couple weeks. So we're just looking at these, and then we're going to get started on these. Which one's your favorite?
Either that one or that one.
I like that Kennedy one up there.
I like this one because, like, on here it says John F. Kennedy.
Oh yeah, and then when you've, oops, he doesn't have these in here very good. Well, anyway, all right. Yeah, I like that one at the top.
I also like that one and that one.
Yeah, those are pretty cool. All right, so we are starting something
Also that one.
new today, and we each have a folder for it. So that one's yours, and that one's yours. Now open it up, and on the left-hand side, you both got a memo that I want you to read together. So just, pull out your memo. All right, it's dated October 24th, 1960. You are on the communications team. It's from Leonard Newton, Assistant Communications Director, and the subject is the Vice President's image. So we're gonna go ahead and read this. The latest numbers are in, and they show that we're down in the polls. So far, our strategy has been to focus on Vice President Nixon's vast experience in office and his insistence on campaigning in all 50 states. Clearly, we need to reevaluate this approach. We've also underestimated Senator Kennedy's camp. His message of change and his slogan, "We can do better," have resonated with more voters than we anticipated. And his image, especially on television, has captivated the masses. As we move toward the final push in this election, we need a new message that will reignite voters' confidence in the vice president as their next leader. We all know that we've taken a lot of hits lately. Nixon's performance in the September 26th televised debate didn't do us any favors. His sweaty, sickly appearance was no match for Senator Kennedy's youthful, glowing image. And I don't need to remind you of the unintentional damage that the president did to the vice president's credibility. It has become increasingly clear that with the widespread use of... Okay, so now that we've read our memo, we're going to watch a video. This is Kennedy's campaign put out this television commercial. So we're going to go ahead and watch that. Can you press play on there?
Nixon needs better campaigns, old campaign sayings.
Okay.
Because apparently, Kennedy's "We Can Do Better" campaign saying, it's making a lot of people want to vote for him.
Okay, so Kennedy's message is gaining voters' attention, and we need to turn things around. Okay, so that's one thing you know that can help guide you. So you can put that under what we know. You don't need to write full sentences under the what we know. You can just write, fragments and things so that you don't, because you won't have enough room if you're writing full sentences. So yes, that's a good one. Kennedy's message or his motto is starting to gain traction, right? And we, as his communications team, need to turn things around. Do you agree, Ava? Okay, so you can write that under what we know. And Dad said there's only how many years difference in age between them?
4.
4 years age. So even though Nixon looked much older in that September 26th debate, what else do we know? After Ava's done writing, maybe she can tell us something that she knows.
Oh, September 26th is actually coming up.
Yeah.
It's only in like 3 days.
Yeah.
Well, we also know that we need to make him look better.
Okay, yeah. So we're in the final push of the election and we need a change, right? We need to come up with what? A strategy. And that also says that what? If we need a change, what does that mean about what we're currently doing?
Means that what we're currently doing isn't that good.
It's not working, right? So that's what we know. What we're currently doing isn't working because.
So we need to
And how do we know it's not working?
because Kennedy is getting more votes.
Yeah, and what specifically is telling us that it's not working? What concrete evidence do we have that what we're doing is not working?
Well, Nixon looks much older.
Okay, but what factual concrete evidence do we have?
What do you mean by that?
I'm going to explain that. In this memo that tells us it's not working, it says the numbers are in and they show that we're what? The numbers are in and they show that we're down in the polls, okay? So what we've been doing isn't working. We're down in the polls. That's some concrete evidence that we know that we need to change because we're down in the polls. Yeah, we don't know that Kennedy's going to win because we don't live in the year 2024. We're back in 1960, and we are part of his communications team.
It's like we lost all memory of the future.
Yep, we lost all memory of the future. Okay. What else do we know? Anything else? We know we need a change. We know that we're down in the polls, so what we're currently doing isn't working. And Wyatt, you said that Kennedy's message is gaining traction, so we need to turn things around. Anything else? Let's look at this memo a little further. Anything else that we can glean from this to kind of put in our pocket of information to help us on our next step? So I noticed that they said in here, where was it?
Oh, I know.
Yes.
We need to start doing like TV and radio ads.
Right, we need to come up with a strategy that uses what? Media. Like TV ads to improve his image. That's good.
Well, I already wrote we need a strategy.
Okay. Well, I think what Ava's pointing out is they're commenting in the memo, they made reference to media, right?
That sounds so weird to say in the 1960s.
Yeah. The thing that I noticed is that the campaign up to this point has really been pushing Nixon's experience in office as why we should vote for him. That's important to know as something we know moving forward, that that's the focus of the campaign up to this point, right? Their focus has been on he has all this experience because he's been in office as vice president. So I think that's something to put down under what we know. That the current focus of his campaign has been on his experience. Okay?
What doesn't make sense?
What doesn't make sense? Okay, so now that we are clear on all the things that we know, the information that we have to help us, now we need to think about what information we don't have. What questions do we have that we need to answer in order to get closer to solving this problem and coming up with a new strategy? So what are things that maybe, what are questions we have that we need to find some answers to? And we can look to this memo. So one that I have is, they mention multiple times the September 26th debate. So I think a question might be, what happened in this debate? Have we seen this debate?
No.
No. So what happened in this debate, and how did, or I guess what happened in the debate? And you can look at the memo again yourselves after you write that down and see what other questions you can come up with. What other information do you think you need to come up with a plan of action? So we want to know what happened in the September 26th debate. What other questions? Information do you think you need to gather to help come up with a plan of action?
How can we improve Nixon's appearance?
Okay. Or related, how do you turn someone's image around in the media? Do you know how to do that?
No.
Okay, so that might be something we need to research. How do you turn someone's image around in the media?
Also, how will we gain popularity?
Okay. That kind of goes along with how to turn someone's image around, right? Or maybe related to why are our poll numbers down? If we want to gain popularity, maybe we need to understand exactly why our poll numbers are down. Plan of action. I think I would want to know what strategies has Kennedy been using.
Maybe we can send some spies to go figure that out.
Because I know, pretend like we're 1960, he's been going out on the streets, meeting people and riding in cars and...
Right, so maybe we want some more details on what he's been using, and maybe we need to know what strategies we've been using to get our message across. Do we know what our campaign strategies have been? No, so maybe we need to look at both campaign strategies to help come up with our plan of action. And let's look back at this letter. Oh, I noticed something. It says, and I don't need to remind you of the unintentional damage that the president did to the vice president's credibility. So I think, how did the president damage Nixon's credibility? I don't know the answer to that question. So that's something maybe too that we'd want to look into. So like the internet and the library. Okay, we're going to use the internet and the library to do research into, what did you say, Ava? Kennedy's, was it, you said Kennedy's strategy versus Nixon's strategy?
That was one.
Okay. So we'll use the internet and the library to research the following things. Kennedy's strategy versus Nixon's strategy.
Maybe how can we change an appearance on the media?
Okay, that's good. How to change your appearance in the media. And what else?
How will we gain popularity? Oh, wait.
That kind of goes with Ava's, I think, about how to improve their public image. What else do you think we really need to research to kind of come up with our strategy?
How did the president damage Nixon's credibility?
Okay.
That one doesn't.
You don't think so?
No.
Well, that damaged his credibility, so that damaged his public image. If we're going to improve his public image, I think Ava is right that maybe we need to understand how it was damaged in the first place. Okay. One that neither of you have mentioned that I think might be important is that September 26th debate, right? Because that seems like a key event in this campaign so far that caused a lot of damage. So we, I think, need to watch that debate to see what they're talking about. What do you think? Yeah, okay. So we have like 4 things, right? We're going to use the internet and the library to research those 4 items. Do you have 4 things written down, Ava? All right. That's yours. So we have a plan of action. Do we feel good about our plan of action?
Yeah.
Okay. So tomorrow we will come back and work on our plan of action. I think we have one more paper in our packet here. Let's take a look at this. So this is reflective moment, thinking about image. There's 2 quotes here. And what we want to do is read these 2 quotes and pick one of them and write our thoughts about it, whether we think it's true or not true. So the quotes are, nobody counts the number of ads you run, they just remember the impression you make. That's one quote. And then you'll see in just a minute. The next one is, individuals make impressions and judgments about people very quickly, very easily, and with very minimal information. And once those judgments are made, they tend to be very hard to undo. They're quite sticky.
I agree with that one.
Okay,
I
so,
agree with the top one.
okay, so you're going to write a brief response. You can say why you agree with it or why you don't agree with it. You'll put an X next to whatever one you're gonna pick. And it says, a quality response addresses the quote, stays on topic, is reasonable or credible, plausible, whatever, and gives enough detail to make your ideas clear. Okay, so that's what we're gonna work on, and then we're gonna move on to our individual work, okay?
Huh, funny, I was just looking at the word individual.
All right, so go ahead and work on that, and we'll put our stuff away until tomorrow. All right, it is 9:45, and we are done with our group work. Like I said, that took us a little bit longer today, but that's okay. So now we're gonna move into individual work. I am gonna start on Math with Confidence with my 12-year-old, and then my 9-year-old is going to go to the other end of the table and work on his Science Mom chemistry. So get out the headphones there. And let's see what unit we are on today. What are we on, 2.9 or 2.8? 2.9, I think. Yes.
I go.
Need these untangled. Okay, there you go. You're welcome. All right, so we are on to 2.9, and my son is down there. He'll be at the other end of the table doing his chemistry, and we will be here doing our math. All right, so how do you know if a number is divisible by 4? You know if a number is divisible by 10.
If it has a 0 at the end.
Yeah, it has a 0 in which place?
The
The ones place. Okay. So we're gonna do kind of a mental math warm up. Okay, so we worked through the warm up and kind of the lesson, which was activity 8, and now she's gonna move on to the practice and review on her own. And we still got science going on down there, so. Okay, so I am going to check her work. I also haven't had breakfast yet, so I'm gonna drink one of these. She needs a quick brain break before we move on. We do a little practice math on another area of math when she's done with her main lesson, which we're gonna work on this. But she's gonna take a quick little brain break. Which one are you gonna do you think?
I'm gonna do one about the president.
So she's gonna pick one of the cards from the discovery decks that we have from the Waldock Way. So she is picking which one she's gonna watch, and then she's gonna take our phone and go watch that, and then she'll come back and we'll get back to math, and I will check her Math with Confidence while she's gone. All right, I went over Ava's math corrections with her, and now she is working on one of the activity cards from this. She's converting, let me see. Now let me see the red cube. She's converting all of these measurements to what, cups? What does it say?
Yeah,
To cups. So that's what she's gonna work on. And then my son is hopefully finishing up his Science Mom soon, and my husband was folding some laundry, which is what that is down there. Okay, so my son is finished with his Science mom, my daughter's gonna start hers, and she has an experiment I think that she's doing at the end of hers today. So she's gonna go, got the supplies out for that, and then she's gonna go set up down there. And I'm gonna get my son set up for math, and I'll show you that in a minute. Snack count, it is 10, does it say 10:37? And we are on snack 2, so
Well,
in case
I'm
you're
hungry.
keeping track. Okay, so we are moving on to math for my son, and he is doing dimensions 4A. We decided to rent the video lessons that you can get, and I really like them. You get them, I think, for a year. I'm not sure. It's $80 or $85, which is kind of expensive, but I like them. We watch them together, but it helps improve my teaching abilities to see how someone else teaches the lesson. And I just really like the way that they explain everything. So today he is actually at the end of a chapter. So he's gonna do the practice lesson in the textbook with the video. And then because I don't have the test booklets, I didn't buy those. I use the practice at the end. If he seems to understand the lesson, or the chapter, I use the practice exercise at the end as a test. So he's gonna do the video lesson with the textbook, and I just made this out of a sheet protector so he can use it with a dry erase marker. We don't write in the textbook, but this way he can do the lessons in the textbook along with the video. And this, sometimes they ask you to cover up part of the page, so anyway, so he's gonna do that, and then he will do the workbook page kind of as his test. So that's what we're gonna work on now.
So you'll see practice problems. Problems that will help you to practice all of the concepts you've learned in chapter 3. So let's take a look at the first few together. So on page 76, let's first look at 1A. For 1A, you're asked to find or list the first 10 multiples of 7. So reminding you that a multiple is the number you get when you multiply that number by another number. So
Okay, he finished the video lesson. We skipped through quite a bit of it because he knows it pretty well, and he's moved on to the workbook page, which we are using as his test. So the video for today for the practice lesson was about 15 minutes long if you'd watched the whole thing, but you do have to pause it throughout, so it would take longer than 15 minutes if you watched and did the work through the whole thing. Okay, Wyatt is finishing up his last page in math, and Ava is working on her science experiment here. Okay, so my daughter is done with science, and my son finished his math, so I'm gonna go ahead and check this. They are both taking a little break doing one of the physical activity cards from the Discovery deck. There's like different running ones and just different physical activity ones. So they're doing one of those together while I check this, and then we're going to come back and start language arts. And it is now, I think, what time is it?
It's 11:31.
11:30. Okay. Okay, so you can see in our schedule here that on Mondays, after we do math and science for both kids, we move on to kind of our language arts. And today usually on Mondays, I do read through the lesson for Fix It Grammar with them. Today, we are actually going to be adding in Grammar Voyage from Michael Clay Thompson. I thought this would be a nice way to layer in some additional grammar. So we are going to read this, and then I will start their Fix It Grammar with them, and then they will finish their Fix It Grammar on their own, and then we will kind of at their pace, they will move on to the other items in their language arts. We set sail now on rolling seas that fall on beaches far and near. Like passengers on rusty ships, we scan the water, trying to hear the sound, the voice, the mystery, the whispery report, the words, the clear, austere details around the seas we search. Inspecting every port of call, the harbors, inlets most of all, the coastal cities on the far, horizons distant and inviting our arrival. In the misty night we sail, in the sea we make our trail, until the vivid dawn reveals our destination. Now we feel it's drawing near, we hear the sounds, the voices, words, clamor of birds, and people walking toward the pier. We steer, we cast our ropes, and we are here. On any grammar voyage, wild words pervade the world. Like freighter, storm, and cable, later form. You are doing sentence openers, prepositional opener, comma, and adverb.
I'll remember sentence openers.
Okay, so a sentence opener is a sentence that begins with the sentence. Okay, they have moved on to vocabulary, and I am checking Fix-It Grammar. And I already checked my son's. I'm going to check my daughter's. And then I will check vocabulary when they finish that. And then we will just keep moving through our language arts list here. So we've got Fix-It Grammar, vocabulary, literature, writing, and then my son does cursive. So we'll just keep moving through those. Okay, so I'm done checking her work. She also uses this as her cursive, so I do kind of go in and correct her cursive as well. And all right, so Fix-It Grammar is done. I'll go over those corrections with her. And yeah, we'll just keep plugging along. All right, my daughter is working on her vocabulary, and my son and I are gonna go ahead and do his Hearth and Story. So today we are reading chapter 5. Why don't you go ahead and start reading? Regalia.
Regalia. Wow, he said stopping in his tracks. Gregor didn't know what he'd expected. Maybe still not like whatever New York is like.
They seemed to rise directly out of the rock as if they had been grown, not made, by human hands. Maybe they weren't as tall as the skyscrapers Gregor knew by name, but they towered high above his head, some at least 30 stories, and finished in artful peaks and turrets. Thousands of torches were placed strategically. All right, we apparently had to take a break to get more food yet again.
We are hungry.
Okay.
Yes.
After breakfast, 2 snacks, now it's time for lunch. So Wyatt and I are going to continue reading. Ava finished her vocabulary, and next she would do lightning lit, except I want to do this with her, at least today. So she's going to do typing and or Latin next, because she doesn't need me for those, while I finish doing the subjects in language arts with my son that he needs me for. And then eventually, at some point, I will eat lunch. Okay, so we are done reading. He's going to work on the questions, and then Ava is doing Latin. She finished typing, and I'm just getting the video lesson on the iPad for her so that she can watch. There you go. Okay, so Ava finished her Latin, the video lesson, and she's going to do the worksheets now. And Wyatt and I are going to move on to writing and rhetoric. We are on lesson 6. I don't have a set number of pages we do. When we do this, we just do it till I feel like we should stop. Some weeks we do the lesson in 2 days. Last week we spread it over 4, so it really just depends. But we're going to work on this until I think we're done. Cats and mice have long been enemies. People tamed wildcats in the first place to protect their stores of grain from hordes of hungry mice. Cats are the perfect mouse. All right, it is, what time does that say, 12:40?
Yep.
12:40. We finished writing. We did through copy work. So tomorrow we will start with the dictation page, and then we have that much left. And all right, so Wyatt is going to move on to his social studies and cursive, because those he can do independently. I'm going to check over Ava's Latin, and then we are going to do her lightning literature. So that is what we're up to. Read that out loud.
I thought the matter over and concluded it.
All right, so she and I read through the selection from the Rainy Day Reader. They are a very, very difficult read, in my opinion.
Because they're from the 1800s.
Yeah, they're very old. Anyway, so we read that together. She's going to go on and answer the comprehension questions, and then she's going to read the lesson in her student workbook herself. It's about humor in writing, and then she will answer the workbook pages that go along with it, and she will start her composition. So she can do all that independently now. I am going to go through and check her Latin. Wyatt's working on his social studies. He already finished his cursive. And then the last thing he'll have to do is piano. And then Ava, once she finishes Lightning Lit, she and I will do our learning how to learn, and then she'll be done. So that's what we're doing right now. Okay, I am just going over her Latin corrections and her Lightning Lit corrections with her. And I think she still has to do her composition today. I think she's just brainstorming some ideas. And my husband is helping my son with his social studies because he had some questions, and I was working with my daughter. So luckily he was home today to do that. So as soon as we finish this, then we'll move on to learning how to learn. Okay, we're reading this together, and Wyatt just went to take a brain break so that we can finish this before he starts playing the piano. So when we finish this, Ava will be done for the day. She'll clean up, and then Wyatt will be done with this break, and he can do his piano lesson.
Working on test problems. When I didn't understand something from the book at first, I would look for videos on the internet, being careful not to get distracted. Sometimes you need help from people that you're like teaching, and you need to learn from them.
Okay, that's one of the ideas. Can you think of any others?
Well, here's one that I kind of think is a main idea.
Yeah.
But not really. That exercise could probably be a good way.
Okay, if you're stuck maybe?
Yeah.
Or you need, yeah. How about it's possible to learn new subjects that you never thought you could learn? Yeah. Learning new subjects can empower you, and you can use tools like you just said, like exercise or the Pomodoro method to boost your learning. You ask other people for help when you're stuck. And don't be afraid to go back to a beginner's level, even if you're older than the other students. And bam, we're done. So go ahead and get all your school stuff cleaned up. All right. Ava is done. So I can check off learning how to learn. And she is checked off for the day. Wyatt still has to do piano. He was taking a brain break. And it is about 1:30. So that was about a 5-hour school day, which is kind of typical Monday through Thursday. We tend to be close to 5 hours. Today was a little longer though because we did both today's election unit and what I had planned for tomorrow. So that added a little time. And we did stray from our schedule a little bit, and we tend to do that if I'm needed for a subject, but I'm working with the other kid. They can move ahead to a subject that they don't need me for, and then they'll pop back to that. So we do that occasionally. So anyway, that was a look into our Monday. If you have any questions, let me know, and I will talk to you in the comments down below. Okay, and in case you're wondering, I am having my lunch now. This is one of my lunches, freezer meal prep lunches that I did for myself. So I'm gonna have that for lunch, and he's finishing up his piano. So our school day is done, for real.